Hey, what's up everybody? It's Steve with Smitty's Fly Box. Today we're tying a bead head hare's ear nymph for the beginner box. What I have here is a Daiichi nymph hook and a gold brass bead. I'm using 6/0 uni thread here, and I'll just attach my thread to the hook and just make nice even wraps over the top away from me, and I can jam down that thread to where I can snip off the excess. And I'll just take my thread down to our tie-in point, which is directly above the barb of the hook there, and that's where I'm going to tie on the tail. So for the tail, I'm going to use this grouse feather that I have here, and I've just kind of stripped to the side those fibers there so they're fairly even, and then I can clip those off neatly from the feather there, and then I've got a nice little clump there. I want the length of the tail to be half the length of the hook shank. So once I have that measurement, I can come in here on an angle and just carefully tie down those feathers so they roll kind of up on top, and then I can just wrap my thread forward a ways and excuse me, then I can have a nice little tail out there. I can come in here and snip off those fibers there. Let's make a couple more turns there. Alright, now I need to tie in some ribbing. So what I'm going to use is just some gold flash. You can use wire. This thin gold flash works pretty well. It's silver on one side and gold on the other, so I'm going to tie it in so the silver side is facing me, and just hold it along the side of the hook there. Tie it down all the way back to the base of our tail. Remember, directly above the barb of the hook. And I'm going to let that hang there. So now when I wrap this, it'll have the gold side. Okay, now we can begin building the abdomen of this fly. So I'm going to use just regular old hare's ear dubbing here. And it's a little trick with dubbing. I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I just have a small amount. Most people, when they first start using dubbing, they use too much. So this is just kind of a little wisp here, kind of a pinch. And I just lay that right on top of the thread there. Let me back up a little farther so you can see. And it'll actually kind of rest there. I'll take my middle finger and my thumb and start with the very top pieces of hair and just go in one direction, working my way down the thread, and that should evenly coat a couple inches of that thread, and then I can really control this. I don't want a thick abdomen. I'm just basically covering up what I have there and just working my way to about halfway. I have a little extra on here. If I need to, I can just maybe pull a little off. Now we can take our gold flash and wrap that over the top away from us, and just tightly wrap 4 or 5 turns, spacing them out through that dubbing. It'll be subtle. Let's zoom back in here so you can see what I'm doing. And once I reach that halfway, or just past halfway, I'll hold it straight in the air, and let's drop our thread over with our left hand about 3 times, and then we can snip off the excess there. You're going to have a few stray hairs and stuff with this hare's ear dubbing. That's okay, we like that. Okay, so that's the back half of the fly. Now we've got to focus on the front half. So the back half, we call that the abdomen. This is going to be the thorax. So we're going to tie on what's called a wing case that will pull over the top, and we're going to dub the thorax a little thicker than the abdomen there. So for the wing case, I'm going to use just some piece of pheasant tail here. And I'll actually use, this is the good side. I'm going to use this side that's a little duller, because we're going to just pull that over. So I'm going to take a little clump here off the side. And I'm going to try to keep those together as best I can, these pheasant fibers there. And let's trim them up so they're fairly straight. Okay, so let's lay these. Just take your thumbnail here and just hold it in place right there, and we'll capture all that and tie it down. Now this is important. Make sure you wrap back and tie it down so it's just about halfway. There's my thread halfway, because I don't want a little dead spot there. And we're just going to let that hang over the top. And now we can dub the what we call the thorax here. And now we'll just repeat that step there and just go a little bit thicker, so it almost is the same thickness as that bead up there. We're just going to build a little buggy thorax up here. So the secret to the hare's ear, I believe, is all this buggy hare's ear dubbing. When it gets wet, it really breathes and looks alive and lifelike. Okay, so that's a pretty good batch there. Okay, now let's take our wing case. We're going to pull that tight right over the top and just carefully bring your thread over. Remember, our thread stays right behind that bead, and just drop it down and add a little tension each time just to allow that to tightly secure that pheasant tail right there behind the bead. So it really kind of bites down on there. And now we can snip off the excess, nice and close. You may have a little nub there coming out. I'm just going to pull that back and let's just make a few turns and tie all that down and put a little tiny tag there. Alright, now we can whip finish. Whip finish there. Come around, catch that, slide it right in there where we want to wrap. And make 4 or 5 good turns right there. Push up, let it slip off the bottom, and pull with my left hand. So what you have there is a classic hare's ear nymph that's caught fish forever, it seems like. For your box, I'm going to actually send some extra materials. I'm going to send some different dubbings so you can do different coloration. I'm going to send some black beads. I'm going to send some hot orange threads so you get a little hot spot on there if you want. So you'll be able to do a few variations of this hare's ear and have a little fun with it. I hope you enjoy.